Hello everyone, welcome to AVLSI lecture number 27 part 2. Today we are going to discuss the qualitative analysis of basic differential pair or differential amplifier, and also we will analyze the common mode behavior of the differential pair. So let us begin with the analysis. So last time we have already discussed this basic differential amplifier. So it consists of M1, M2, two transistors which are connected in amplifier configuration, which is your common source amplifier. In this case, what we do is we tied a source terminal together and we connect it to a constant current source named as ISS. And now we can apply V in 1 and V in 2 either in the form of differential mode signal or a common mode signal. And both the M1 and M2 are connected to VDD via RD1 register and RD2 register. And we can take a differential output over here, Vout1 and Vout2. So your total Vout will be Vout1 minus Vout2, and your differential gain AD will be equal to Vout2 minus Vout1. Actually, we can write it mod of AD, which will be Vout2 minus Vout1 upon V in 1 minus V in 2, provided input is differential mode signal. Now, let's put some numbers into perspective. Let us assume that your value of RD1 and RD2 are same, equal to RD, which is 100 kilo ohm. And let us also assume that the value of ISS, which is equal to ID1 plus ID2, is around 10 microamperes. Remember, ISS is my constant current source. Now let's just assume that your V in 1 minus V in 2 difference, that is a differential mode signal, is varying from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, that means your V in 1 minus V in 2 is very negative, very high negative value or a very high positive value, or they might be equal also. So when we say V in 1 minus V in 2 is negative, whenever V in 1 is very, very small and V in 2 is bigger, we can say V in 1 minus V in 2 difference is negative. Correct? So let's do that. Let's say that your V in 1 is very much small value and is smaller than the VTH1 threshold voltage of M1 transistor. So whenever my input is smaller than my threshold voltage, my VGS, right? My VGS is smaller than my threshold voltage, I can say that particular MOSFET is off. So here in this case, your V in 1 is less than VTH1 and your V in 2 is greater than VTH2. So here we can say M1 transistor is on, M1 transistor is off and my M2 transistor is on. Whenever my M1 transistor is off, my ID1 will be 0. So what will be ID2? ID2 will be equal to IDSS. So that IDSS value is 10 microamperes. Let's just assume that supply voltage VDD is 3 volt. So now, what will be my Vout1? So Vout1 will be VDD minus ID1 RD, correct? So here ID1 is 0. So what will be Vout1? Vout1 will be equal to VDD, which will be equal to 3 volt. Okay, next, Vout2. So Vout2 is again equal to VDD minus ID2 RD. This time my ID2 value is 10 microamperes. So 10 microamperes into RD. RD is how much? 100K. So you can put it inside your calculator, these values. You will get Vout2 as 2 volt. Okay. So right now the situation is that Vout1 is 3 volt and Vout2 is 2 volt. Okay. Now let's just proceed ahead. So now we assume that your V in 1 is slightly greater than VTH1. That means my input V in 1 is slightly enough to turn on my M1 transistor. Earlier M2 is on only. But right now what we are saying is your V in 1, your M1 also just turns on. So whenever M1 transistor just turns on, your ID1 flows, right? Let's say that ID1 flowing, which is flowing, it is just turning on, right? It's consuming a current of 1 microamperes. So if ID1 is 1 microamperes, what will be ID2? ID2 will be 9 microamperes. Why? Because ID1 plus ID2 should be 10 microamperes. Okay. So that means whenever my M1 transistor just turns on, it will draw a fraction of ISS current from your ID1 from your RD1 register. Okay, so very tiny current of 1 microampere will flow through the resistor, which will create your voltage drop Vout1. So what will be Vout1? Your Vout1 level will fall down. Earlier it was how much? Earlier it was 3 volt. So your Vout1 will fall down right now it will be VDD minus ID1 into RD1. So ID1 is 1 microamperes, RD1 is 100 microamperes. You can check it out. It will be close to 2.9 or 2.8. I am not sure. We can check it out here, this value. So ID1 is around 1 micro and RD is 100K. Can anyone check what is 3 minus 1 micro into 100K, whether it is 2.8 or 2.9? I think it should be 2.9. Can anyone confirm? 3 minus 1 micro into 100K. How much is that? I think it's 1.9. I'm not sure. Can anyone confirm?
So it should be 2.9.
Yeah, correct. I felt so. So it will be 2.9. I'll correct it. Don't worry. It will be 2.9 volts over here. The meaning what I'm saying over here is that your V out one level will fall down from 3 volt to 2.9. What about your V out 2 level? V out 2 level earlier it was 2 volt. Now it will rise. Now it will increase. Why? Because now your ID2 will fall. Remember, ID2 is falling from 10 micro to 9 microamperes. So your V out 2 will increase from 2 volt to 2.1 volt. It will be 3 minus 9 microamperes into 100K. So that will be 2.1 volt, I guess. Okay. Is this case clear to you? Okay. Now, let's just assume that your V in 1 and V in 2 are comparable to each other. That means V in 1 minus V in 2 difference is 0. And my V in 1 and V in 2 both are greater than your threshold voltage of M1 and M2. That means both M1 and M2 are on, right? And right now equal current flows through both M1 and M2. Your ID1 is also 5 microamperes. Your ID2 is also 5 microamperes. So what will be V out 1 and V out 2 equal to? It will be same. It will be equal to VDD minus ID into IDSS by 2. Okay, so it will be 3 volt minus 100K into 5 microamperes. So this will be equal to 2.5 volt. Fine. Whenever both the transistors are on equally, your ID1 and ID2 are same, and my output V out 1 and V out 2 are also same, and that is equal to 2.5 volt. Are you all following? So this is what is going on. We will finally plot this differential input output characteristics of DFAM. Okay, so we say V out 1 is 3 volt, then it is falling down, and then it is settling down at 2 volt. We will come back to this point. Wait, let's just complete this point over here. Now in the last case, we'll consider that V in 1 minus V in 2 difference is positive. That means what? V in 1 is much greater than V in 2. And let's just say that whenever V in 1 is much greater than VTH1, my M1 transistor is on. And V in 2 is much lesser than compared to V in 1. So my V in 2 might be lesser than VTH2. So my M2 transistor is off. So exactly reverse of what we have discussed earlier. So right now my M1 is on and my M1 transistor will carry all of the current, 10 microampere. ID1 will be 10 microampere. So what will be V out 1? V out 1 will be VDD minus ID1 into RD, which will be 3 minus 10 microampere into 100K, which will be 2 volt. Remember, we started with V out 1 value 3 volt. Now it has fallen to 2 volt. And we started with V out 2 value as 2 volt. Now it has risen to 3 volt. Because right now what is happening is M2 transistor is off and my ID2 is 0. Whenever my ID2 is 0, my V out 2 will be VDD minus ID2 RD. So this ID2 RD expression will disappear. So my V out 2 value will be equal to 3 volt. Okay. So we have discussed this case whenever V in 1 minus V in 2 is positive. Remember, V in 1 minus V in 2 is positive. Which transistor is on? V in 1 minus V in 2 is positive. Which transistor is on? My M1 transistor is on. Right. And what will happen to V out 1? Whichever transistor is on, that voltage level will fall down. Okay. So here you see V out 1 level is around 2 volt. And why V out 2 is 3 volt? Because the M2 transistor is off. And exactly reverse is the case over here. Okay, whenever V in 1 minus V in 2 difference is around negative, my M2 transistor is on, so my V out of 2 will be 2 volt, right? I mean the maximum value, and my V out of 1 maximum value will be 3 volt because M1 is off. And you remember what we did when V in 1 and V in 2 were same? Was the output 0? Whenever V in 1 was equal to V in 2, was the output 0? No. The output was V out, here it is, see, V out 1 is equal to V out 2, which was equal to 2.5 volt. So what is this 2.5 volt? This is my output common mode level. This is what we call it as my output common mode level, which was equal to 2.5. And I guess this type of characteristics you have already seen before in your lower semesters. So this we have analyzed it with numbers and we got exactly this characteristics. So what can we say over here? I mean, this characteristics is linear. It's linear. Can you see the straight line over here in this case? This straight line will be there for a very limited range of V in 1 minus V in 2. It says that whenever my difference between V in 1 and V in 2 is minimum, I can have a linear differential amplifier. If I have too much difference between V in 1 and V in 2, my one transistor will be only operating. My other transistor will be off. Are you getting it? So if you want to operate a very good differential amplifier, you should keep the difference between V in 1 and V in 2 as small as possible. Okay, that's why the differential amplifier is able to amplify even microvolt signal with most accuracy, with most linearity. Okay, now let us check it out, the other differential input output characteristics. So this is the graph of V in 1 minus V in 2, and in the y-axis we have V out 1 minus V out 2. We have a differential output. So this is the kind of graph we get, and this is my linear range which I was talking about. Don't worry about why it is RD into ISS, because when you subtract V out 1 minus V out 2, then you will get this factor. In fact, for individual, it was RD into IDSS by 2. But if you subtract, you will get added up and you will get RD into ISS. Fine. So you can do that very simple exercise over here. So this is my linear range. So in order to operate my differential amplifier successfully, my difference in V in 1 and V in 2 should be as small as possible. That means my differential amplifier can even amplify the difference between the very small microphone signal. So it's a very sensitive one, right? If the difference between V in 1 and V in 2 is microvolt also, still it can amplify and detect it. Fine. So that's why this is how the qualitative analysis of differential amplifier looks like. Now, what will happen if V in 1 and V in 2 difference is very large? Your amplifier will be non-linear. Whenever my amplifier is non-linear, I will get distortion in the output. Okay. So that's why we say that the circuit becomes non-linear as my input swing increases. What do you mean by input swing increases? Whenever the difference between V in 1 and V in 2 increases, my circuit will become non-linear. So what is the maximum value of the output over here? VDD. And what's the minimum value? VDD minus ID into, RD into ISS. Correct? So here we say my maximum output level is VDD and my minimum output level is VDD minus RD into ISS. And these are independent of input common mode level. It does not matter what is my input common mode level, my output levels are independent of them. And that's the beauty of this differential amplifier or differential pair. Now next, the small signal voltage gain. What is my voltage gain actually? I mean, if I want to calculate the slope, what will be the slope over here? Y2 minus Y1 upon X2 minus X1. So what is Y2 minus Y1? My V out 1 minus V out 2. And what is my X2 minus X1? V in 1 minus V in 2. Correct? So what is V out minus V out 2 upon V in 1 minus V in 2? Voltage gain, differential voltage gain. So here you have small signal voltage gain is maximum for V in 1 equal to V in 2, and it will gradually fall to 0 as my V in 1 minus V in 2 difference increases, as it's very, very clear over here. So it will be maximum over here, and as the difference between V in 1 and V in 2 decreases, it will be almost equal to 0. There will be no slope over here, right? It will be almost like a flat line. So this was about the qualitative analysis of differential amplifier. Okay. Any doubt in this? Anyone? Have you understood the working of this with numbers? This differential pair? Any doubt in the input output characteristics of this differential pair or differential amplifier? You all let me know right now. I'll give you all 10 seconds to let me know. If no, then I think it's already 4:58. We will stop over here and then we will continue tomorrow on common mode behavior of differential amplifier. It's no point starting a new topic at the last very minute. So we will only complete this qualitative analysis of differential amplifier today. And for the tomorrow's session, we will continue with the common mode behavior of differential amplifier. That means what will happen if we apply a common mode signal. And also that current source ISS will be implemented by a transistor. So we will be using another different transistor, that is M3 transistor, to implement this current source. Okay, we know that your MOSFET can behave as a current source, and we will do exactly that. So yeah, we will study this common mode behavior of differential amplifier in tomorrow's class. So that's it for today. If you all have a doubt, you all can ask me. I'll wait for